Yeah. Hi, this is Commissioner Bill Bryant. Escalators can be dangerous. The one that I love, which had to have been written by attorneys and I refused to read it, was, hi, this is Commissioner Bill Bryant. Escalators and luggage can be dangerous, so if you have luggage, please use our elevator. And I was like, really? You want everybody who shows up at SeaTac with luggage to go to the one elevator? No, it's a pleasure to be with all of you this morning and to have such an incredibly great crowd here on such really short notice. I can tell you that I was thinking about what to say this morning yesterday as I was driving along the Columbia River, and I was turned around one of the corners and I just went, wow. You know, if I didn't live here, if I were a tourist, I would have pulled over the car and taken a picture. And instead, what I just said was, wow. I get to live here. And I went down then to Mattawa to meet with some port commissioners, and we're talking about trying to attract tourism to that area and to central Washington. And I kind of looked out and saw these huge basalt formations, and you see these lava flows that move right into the Columbia River, and you have the ginkgo petrified forest. And I thought, man, if you had a family with some kids who were really interested in geology and who also wanted to go and do some water sports and some rock climbing, this would be an incredible vacation spot. Last fall, I was in Yakima Valley talking with some port commissioners and county commissioners about trying to increase tourism to that area and to really try and figure out how we could get cruise ship passengers to come over into the Yakima Valley and to Walla Walla and to visit wine country. And we were sitting in this room in the lower Yakima Valley, and one of the county commissioners said, well, do you really think people will want to come over here? And I said, you know, look out that window. We have two, from just that view in that window, we can see two snow-capped volcanoes. We take it for granted, but not everybody grows up in the shadow of two snow-capped volcanoes. I was in Port Angeles in June, again, talking with county commissioners and port commissioners about how to try to attract cruise ship passengers and people coming through SeaTac over to the Olympic Peninsula. And I remember when I worked for Governor Spellman decades ago, we had a tourism promotion, and one of those promotional photographs had a picture of the Olympics from Hurricane Ridge, and the tagline was Washington's Monuments, and that wasn't at all an exaggeration. Last May, the Seattle Port Commission had a meeting out in Woodinville dedicated entirely to tourism. Tom Norwalk and maybe some others of you were participants in that session. And not only were we talking about how to get cruise ship passengers and people who go through SeaTac to go out to Woodinville and experience the Washington wine industry on this side of the pass, and also to try and figure out how to get them out to Snoqualmie Falls or Carnation or Duval, but we also had port commissioners come over from Lake Chelan or from Chelan County who were trying to talk to us about how we can get people over to Chelan and Lake Chelan. We have incredible assets to work with in this state, assets that most states would really kill for. And that's why with very little financial support, tourism is still one of the 6th most vibrant and important economic sectors to Washington State. And I can tell you that that meeting that we had out in Woodinville, the Port Commission had, was not a one-off deal. It's actually the extension of more than 25 years of working to generate tourism in Washington State. And most of that time, those activities have been in concert, in partnership with the state of Washington and with Seattle's Convention and Visitors Bureau. Now, as I mentioned, most of our activities have been really trying to figure out how we can get people who are coming through SeaTac or passengers who are coming to go on an Alaska cruise to stay a few extra days. And I can tell you that we have been successful in that and that we have not done it alone. We have not done it alone. We've actually done it with many of you in this room who we call our friends and partners. We call you our friends and partners because you have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars in in-kind contributions to make that effort a success. You've donated rooms, you've donated tours, you've donated meals, and we could not have done it without you. And many of you have come with us on trips we've taken. I know that some of you have been on missions to the United Kingdom, to France, to China and Japan. And I can tell you that our trip to China last year was so successful that if you haven't heard about it already, we are planning another trip to China just to work with tour operators and people in China to get them to understand all of the great assets we have here in Washington State. And we hope that many of you can join us on that Chinese trip this fall. Now, as George mentioned, all of these efforts are really right now at a crossroads. With the loss of the State Tourism Office and with the formation of the Washington Tourism Alliance, however, we at the Port of Seattle see an opportunity to even more fully participate with you in shaping a model of more sustainable tourism promotion. And that is why it is really my privilege today to announce to all of you that the Port Commission has voted to sign on a $150,000 commitment to the WTA. You all in this room, with such an incredible turnout, have demonstrated that you have the energy, the enthusiasm, and the expertise to make this new organization a success. Our state has all of the assets we need. And I'll tell you, if we take your expertise and we combine them with these assets, we can ensure that tourism and hospitality will remain one of the 6 most important economic sectors in this state for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bryant. Great to be here. My name is Tom Norwalk, and I'm with the Seattle CVB, and one of the interim or volunteer directors on the WTA. And I just want to also add my thanks to everybody. This is a kind of an amazing gathering, and I think many of you, as I look around the room, there's a lot of legacies in the room. There's connections. There's relationships from all across the state that goes back many, many years, and a lot of new faces. And I think it's surprising and it's exciting that this is probably the largest gathering we've had as an industry that I can recall in the last 10 years, maybe, outside of national organizations that meet. And I think it's exciting for the future. I think what you're going to also hear today is that there's no mystery about what we think we want to do. I think we're all united for any number of reasons. But I think the future really starts in this room, in both rooms this morning, and you're going to hear that. We need people to step up. We need funding to kind of move forward in the short term. We need great ideas and big thinkers to move forward in the long term. And there's no blueprint right now that's out there that says we need to do anything we don't want to do as an industry. So thank you for coming. I've got a couple of foundational slides just to get us started before I throw it over to Catherine Kurtzman, my colleague. And I think this is maybe everybody knows this, but recently economic impact numbers released from Marcia and her team at the state and around our state in different communities from different DMOs is we have all seen and we have all felt the return to some normalcy in terms of increased revenues. Travel spending in our state, I think we know $15 billion. Jobs creation slowly coming back. And I think what binds us together is that tourism is not just about the big gateway cities, but in this state it's about every asset and every part of the state that we all sell together. And rural Washington depends highly on tourism, even from a percentage of employment, much higher than some of the bigger cities. And the tax benefits, I think it goes without saying. And when you hear and you see $1 billion roughly in taxes generated from tourism, I think we all know that, and that's what causes all of us to kind of scratch our heads a bit, and we find ourselves in this position. But I think you're also going to hear the message today that this is a chance for us to move forward in a great way, and we've got some great speakers that are going to open that door for us. How you measure tourism around GDP is one measurement, and again, as Commissioner Bryant said, in the top 6, certainly in the top 4 in terms of GDP, the impact to the state. I think that's something we all know. We've all experienced that. And I think what we're experiencing, although somewhat extreme, is not unusual around the country. And these numbers from the U.S. Travel Association show that there is continued downward pressure, downward commitment of budgets at the state level. And these numbers are not current. This number probably through 10 will see further declines this year around the country. So what we're faced with in terms of looking at options, new ways to fund tourism, partnerships, strategic alliances. Everybody around the country is going to be doing that as well. And I think what brings it home to us, more importantly, is how do we remain competitive? These numbers through estimates through 10, and those that can't see, on the far right, the big number is our good friends and partners to the north in British Columbia that have always, as a country, as a province, have understood tourism and the investment in tourism. There's no question. And then you move right down the coast, or move down on West Coast competitive states. California at 50+ million. Colorado, Ron Peck from Alaska will tell us that they're going to be spending $18 million, all the way down, and we know we're that little tiny speck. Actually, that speck goes away at the end of the bar chart there. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we know, all of us know from whatever industry we're in, we can't take it for granted. People just do not come. They just don't show up on a whim. So we've got a lot of great opportunities ahead of us, and probably some growing pains to get there. But I wanted to just add my thanks. We're totally supportive as a DMO in Seattle, as one of the larger DMOs in a gateway city. We're here because we think tourism statewide is critical and important. And some have said, well, why do you really care in Seattle? You guys are fairly well funded and you're okay. But we don't look at our jobs in that way. This is a state effort, and we sell the state, we promote the state, and we're ready to stand up and fight for a state program. Let me introduce Catherine Kurtzman from Seattle Southside. Thank you.